Cubs and the Cardinals from St. Louis on Baseball Night in America. Starting to feel a whole lot like summer around here with the temperature climbing into the high 90s at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Chris Bryant and the Cubs just a game out of first place. Well, the Cardinals try to snap this 3-game losing streak after getting walloped in the opener last night 13-5. Joe Davis, the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, and Ken Rosenthal in a moment. And John, really these last few days for the Cubs have kind of been a snapshot of their season, the boom or bust nature of the offense.
Yeah, it's strange to try and figure out. When the Cubs score a lot of runs, they score a lot of runs and win. When they don't score at all, that's been the feast or famine. And Joe Madden has tried to figure out how this would average out. But the Cubs coming off of 13 runs, as you mentioned, after being shut out by the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to face a tough one in Carlos Martinez.
Now, Martinez is a guy, John, who over the first month of the season was putting up as good numbers as anybody in baseball, but they need to get him back to that guy. He's not been close to the same since coming off the DL.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's fair to say a must-win in June, but the way that the Cardinals have been playing, it's their rotation that has kept them afloat. Carlos Martinez needs to regain the form before he went on the DL. For the Cardinals to sustain this run before the All-Star break, they're going to need to continue the young pitching, and Carlos Martinez is going to have to tame the Cubs. And the Cubs are looking to try and keep it rolling as they have had the upper hand over the Cardinals the last few years.
For Martinez, you mentioned the last 2 times out, not good. 7 runs over 7 2/3, and that's included 12 walks in those 7 innings. You go before the disabled list stint, Carlos Martinez was second in the National League with a 162 earned run average. So the 26-year-old in his now 4th full season in the rotation tries to find it again tonight. Let's take a look at the Cubs lineup that will come up against him. They've got the veteran Ben Zobrist hitting leadoff again tonight. Jason Hayward is back in there after having the opener off. Chris Bryant got it going last night. Anthony Rizzo has heated up over the last month and a half or so. Contreras doing the catching, then Schwarber and Russell and Ian Happ, who homered in last night's game as well. The defense around Carlos Martinez, sponsored by Bright House Financial. Ozuna's in left, Tommy Pham in center, and it's Dexter Fowler in right instead of the rookie Harrison Bader. At third, Jed Jerko. That's because Matt Carpenter slides over to first base with Jose Martinez on the paternity list. Munoz and Wong up the middle, and of course it's Molina doing the catching for Martinez. John, how about our keys to the game, sponsored by Ford?
Yeah, continue the feast or famine we talked about with the Cubs. They'd like to continue in that offensive onslaught they started this series off, and then control the tsunami for Carlos Martinez, whose nickname is the Tsunami. Control has been the issue the last couple of starts. 12 walks. That's not the norm for him, and he cannot afford to have much traffic on the bases the way the Cubs can swing the bats.
Well, the Brewers lost earlier, so the Cubs within 1 game of first place. St. Louis, they swept that series against the Cubs in early May and were in first place at 20-12, but have gone 16-19 since. Entered the day before Milwaukee's loss with a 5-game deficit. That matched the largest of the season for Mike Matheny's club. The Cubs 13-5 in their last 18. Yeah, bringing in the #1 offense in the National League, more than 5 runs per game. Having exploded to the tune of those 13 runs last night. All ready to go as Carlos Martinez fires home and misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Off we go from St. Louis.
Fastball, good 2-seamer with movement, slider, and a changeup, an occasional cutter.
Zobrist out in front. It's 1-1.
And that's that changeup. He has such live, loose arm angle that the way that he throws that changeup, it does not to the hitter look at all like an off-speed pitch.
2-1. Opponents hitting below 100 against that changeup this year. Here he comes with a 2-1, and Zobrist takes it inside. 3 balls, 1 strike. But a bounce-back season for the 37-year-old, who leads things off for the Cubs with a walk against Martinez. Yeah, more the same so far for Carlos Martinez.
Yeah, the last pitch looked like a pretty good pitch. The top of the zone looks like it could have caught it, but called a ball. He had a lot of those pitches against Cincinnati. Was not able to command his fastball, and more importantly, when he got to 2 strikes, he couldn't put guys away that he normally does. A lot of foul balls, a lot of 0-2, 1-2 counts that turned into 3-2 and then walks. And that is just a little bit of lack of confidence in the fact that he was hurt, came back. You got to trust that everything is okay if you're going to go out there and pitch against a lineup.
Comes home to Jason Hayward, who takes a strike, and he even admitted that, and this was after the fact, but he admitted in that first start back that he wasn't totally trusting it yet. Facing one of the hottest hitters in the National League here in Jason Hayward. 367 over his last 14 games.
And speaking of that trust, he's been trusting his hands a little bit more. It's a big change they've been trying to get Jason Hayward to buy into. Of course, big contract comes over. He struggled at the plate. No one questions his defense, but now offensively, Joe Maddon likes what he sees. And with the proper rest, he thinks Jason Hayward will continue this throughout the year.
On an 0-2. He lifts one in the air to short center field. Jairo Munoz for out number 1. I mentioned the 3-game sweep for the Cardinals in early May. They've gone in different directions since then, with the Cubs pulling to within a game of the Brewers. The Cardinals dealing with some injuries, dealing with inconsistencies in the offense and in the bullpen. 3 games below 500 since then, when they were in first place and had the 2nd best record in the National League. 1 on 1 out. Here's Chris Bryant.
Now, Bryant has struggled against Martinez. A lot of strikeouts against this matchup. 14 of them.
They take strike 1. Broke out last night after an 0 for 16 slide. Hit his first home run in more than a month. And maybe even more encouraging than that was an opposite field single. Chases behind 0-2.
Yeah, with Bryant, you got to get him to look down. Down there is where he has a lot of swings and misses, and he really is vulnerable to the right-handed changeup against the right-handed pitcher. That's the slider that I talked about, has great break, and living down there will be a good recipe for Carlos Martinez and continued success against Bryant.
Here he comes with an 0-2, and Bryant pops it up. Carpenter's at first. And he's got it. 2 gone.
He got away with murder there. That was a absolute hanger. And maybe even Bryant, shaking his head, realizing that one could have been damage. This is the inconsistency I was talking about. That cannot be a 2-strike breaking ball. That is right down the middle. And when you've struggled against a pitcher, you may always anticipate he's going to make that pitch against you, and you got to be ready for when it doesn't. I would say Carlos got lucky.
Center cut, but instead of pop up. And 2 gone here in the first inning as Anthony Rizzo climbs in. Swings at the first pitch, grounds it off of the hands back to Martinez. It puts up a 0 in the first. And the Cardinals come to bat against Kyle Hendricks after this. Back on Baseball Night in America from St. Louis. Cardinals coming to bat against Kyle Hendricks for the first time tonight. His ERA, John, is at its highest mark since his first full season in 2015. It's been a constant mechanical battle for him.
Yeah, but he has battled, and you see it's respectable ERA. And Kyle Hendricks, when you watch this matchup, it's almost Latin and English, two different ways and two different styles, where Carlos Martinez is going to come after you with velocity and stuff. He is going to rely on getting yourself out, hitting location, changing speeds, and that changeup is key. Against the Pirates, uncharacteristically, they took a lot of his pitches. See how the Cardinals react to the artist on the mound.
Matt Carpenter leads it off and takes strike one. Carpenter's gotten it going in a big way. 326 over the last month after he was hitting 140 over the first month and a half of this season. On an 0-1 pitch. He takes it high, 1-1.
And he said he was just going to stick with the plan. It obviously is not the average we're used to seeing early, and you see right there 140 running into some bad luck, but he stayed with it, and it's starting to pay off. It's going to get hot as it is now, and he believes that'll help.
Pops this one into left where Kyle Schwarber's playing this evening. Carpenter the first out. Take a look at the rest of the lineup for the Cardinals. After Carpenter, it's Tommy Pham. Then Yadier Molina hits third for the first time this season with Jose Martinez away for the birth of his second child. Ozuna's been red hot lately. They're trying to get Dexter Fowler going. Same thing with Colton Wong, who starts at second base tonight. You know, they've kind of traded places, haven't they? When you're looking at the guys who have been hot versus ice cold. It was Tommy Pham that carried him over the first month, but he's gone into a tailspin lately.
He has, and well documented what he struggles with physically with his eyes, and from time to time alters the way he sees the baseball. And right now, you know, just not seeing it at the rate he was before, where he was carrying the ball club. So he's a very intense guy and takes each at bat as if it was his last.
Hitting coach John Mabry. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pham had his breakout season as a 29-year-old last year. A year where he started in AAA and then came up in early May. He had hit .306 with 23 home runs.
See how that changeup just kind of floats in there? Well, what makes it so difficult is if he's hitting with the fastball, it puts the hitters on a more aggressive alert for anything over the plate. And that changeup drops below the barrel.
A little bit outside, and he's worked it full.
And what's amazing about Kyle, he has 2 different changeups. One that cuts and one that fades. It's very difficult to control them both, but he has been a master at it.
He walks Pham. The defense around Kyle Hendricks brought to you by Brighthouse Financial. It's the top defense statistically in baseball. Schwarber's been better than they figured he'd be in left. Happen center, and Hayward, the 5-time Gold Glover, in right. Bryant and Russell on the left side of the infield. Zobrist and Rizzo and Contreras doing the catching for Kyle Hendricks. Manager Joe Madden. And now Yadier Molina. I mentioned the injury issues the Cardinals have dealt with. They had to deal without Yadier Molina for a month. After that scary moment, took the foul tip off of the groin, underwent emergency surgery. Hitting .233 in his 9 games since coming back.
When you face a Kyle Hendricks and you're an aggressive hitter, that just feeds into Kyle's advantage. You really have to think about going up the middle the other way. If you try to pull everything, you're going to run yourself into some ground balls and some changeups that you thought were fastballs. So you have to be very patient, get one over the middle of the plate.
Driven the other way. Playable for Jason Hayward. 2 out.
With a game of velocity and stuff, we get used to, hitters are used to getting used to velocity. When you have a guy like Kyle Hendricks, it's almost like, whoa, wait a minute. can look real pretty and get some quick outs and use his defense. The defense you mentioned is really good for the Cubs pitchers. But he's trying to keep everything out of the middle of the plate and rely on late movement.
And that 87-mile-per-hour fastball average of his, lowest among major league starters, as he gets ready to deal with Marcell Ozuna. He's starting to look like the guy the Cardinals thought they were acquiring in that trade this offseason. Pham at first and 2 gone. Ozuna takes ball 1.
He's got such a pretty swing that does not look pretty to hitters when he carries that bat through the zone. And his timing was off, and that's really what messed up him being on fire now in June. He's hit over 400 in June, and they're glad to see him more locked in. It's a quick bat. If you try to beat him inside, you're making a mistake, because he's going to make you pay.
Pham at first and 2 out. Hendricks delivers 1-0, and Ozuna takes outside. 2 balls, no strikes. He homered last night. That pretty swing you're talking about.
Yeah, just almost. The barrel stands straight up, but then he cuts the plate in half. It's a flat swing that's in the zone a long time, and when the barrel of the bat is in the zone a long time and a pitch is not really where it needs to be, it's going to be hit hard. And that's what he's done. He's got, basically 8 of the 11 hardest hit balls on the Cardinals team, and he also has the farthest hit ball. So I would like to see this continue.
Home run for him last night was his 4th in his last 6 games. On the 2-1. Drives this ball to right center field. Haps back on it. Track, wall, and gone. And Ozuna's done it again. His 5th in his last 7. And the Cardinals strike first.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. If you try to pull this pitch, it may not have the same result. He stays up the middle, right center, patient, goes with the pitch, doesn't try to pull it, gets rewarded. That's strong enough to go anywhere in the ballpark. And because you don't overswing, and that's the tendency to do against a guy who doesn't throw 95 miles an hour, is try to generate your own power. I think you make a mistake.
So the Cardinals 2, the Cubs nothing, and Jed Jerko looks at a strike. For Kyle Hendricks, home runs have been somewhat of an issue this season, the highest rate of his career.
Yeah, it's the first inning issues that he's been dealing with.
Now Jerko, a line drive to left, played on a bounce by Schwarber. You're right, the ERA in the first inning for Kyle Hendricks north of 6. As he gets through the first, he settles in at sub-3. You see that with a lot of pitchers.
Yeah, some of them, for hard throwers, they struggle with their secondary stuff, and mechanically. I think for Kyle, though, it's more of a feel on how much movement he has, particularly as the game goes on. He gets better feel for that 2-seamer. In his last game, he gave up a leadoff homer, and that was it. He got the loss. So I'm sure frustration when a pitcher has to answer questions like, "Hey, what's going on in the first inning?" I mean, you're not trying to give up runs in the first inning. It just becomes more mental at times.
So speaking of frustration and speaking of mental, Dexter Fowler, really frustrating season for him so far. The lowest average qualified players in baseball, a 170. Into left center field, where Kyle Schwarber puts it away. Yeah, brings it into the first, but a 2-run shot from Marcell Ozuna. Budweiser takes some out to the ball game. Cardinals in front of the Cubs 2-0 as this game goes to the second on a Marcell Ozuna home run. 10 of the year for him. And Carlos Martinez with a lead to work with as he gets ready to face 5, 6, and 7 in the Cubs order. Wilson Contreras takes ball one. Contreras, one of the top young catchers in the game, in his third year in the big leagues now. Took over during the World Championship run in 16. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, sometimes you run across some stats and nuggets that you go, really? And there's one on him about homering. He has not homered against a National League team in the last 230 or 229 at bats. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he had one in the postseason last year, but prior to that in the regular season last August. All 4 of his home runs this season in interleague play. Now a 2-2 from Martinez. It's taken low, and the count goes full. Contreras leading off the second. And hitting a soft bouncing ball to Jairo Munoz. 1 out.
That was a changeup, 3-2 that jammed him. You know, for Carlos Martinez and the gift of that arm he has, here's the changeup. See it just kind of movement in 87 miles an hour and jammed him. I think the only thing that keeps him from going to the elite level, I mean, besides learning this game at a veteran level, is his mechanics. Sometimes he stands up when he throws the ball. His release and finish are so important because he has every pitch to do. I mean, it's Pedro Martinez like 2-seam filthy sinker.
Ball one on Schwarber.
It's a tremendous breaking ball. He has pitches that can go to opposite sides of the plate and cover all 4 quadrants. Now he's just got to lock in on a more continual basis. His front shoulder, especially out of the stretch, wants to stay open a little too long. If he stays closed and quiet with that front shoulder, then the whip of that arm will deliver the ball on plane and to the location that he's desired. See the shoulder right there. If it doesn't raise up or open up too quickly, he's in perfect position to throw the pitch he wants.
Falls behind 3-1. How much different have the mechanics looked in the 2 starts since the DL versus before?
You know, watched a couple of his starts afterwards, and it definitely looked like there was some lack of finish and lack of trust, and he spoke to that.
He walked Schwarber, his second one.
But pitchers, and especially, now they're not all clones, right? They don't all have the same personalities, and he's learning to be more locked in. Try to get to that every 5th day, I am the best pitcher in the planet mentality. He's likes to have fun, likes to goof around. We even talked about it. You know, I asked his manager, have you seen a progression? He's had the likes of Chris Carpenter and Adam Wainwright, and he said he's getting there. We've had talks about it. You know, getting to that point where you get more consistent.
1 on 1 out. Addison Russell the hitter. A 2-0 game in the second. Yeah, Mike Matheny said that at first he was that goofy personality regardless of if he was starting or not, and he started to channel it a little bit better, and while he was on the mound he was serious, but even during his starts in the dugout he'd be goofing around.
Yeah. I mean, some people can do that, but it's hard. It's a hard transition to keep turning on, turning off.
This is just barely here. 1-0. Not too many elite starters come to mind through the years that have been loose and giddy, at least to the eye, watching them in the dugout on start days. One and one.
And you can get it in between. You know, that's pretty much how you release and kind of let your 4 days go between. But that right there, that is not him. 30 walks, 10 hit by pitch. First 10 starts of the season.
First time that's happened in the live ball era in the National League. Here's his 1-1. That's a strike over the inside corner.
And that's just mechanics, because you lose your fastball to your arm side, which means it's going to run like crazy. You can get away with a little bit more when you're throwing a breaking ball. You think softer feet, you know you're not going to throw it super hard. Like right there, the breaking ball is quiet. It's got better break. It's more consistent than his fastball has been. And same thing with the changeup. That's why he's got such a good changeup. You don't have to exert on a changeup. You know it's already a soft pitch, softer than your fastball. But with your fastball, the tendency is to be less mechanical because you're trying to throw it through the wall, when you really need to be the most mechanical to hit your spot. But that's not emphasized as much anymore today. It's more about throw it through the wall.
It's a macho game these days, power game. He gets a fastball by Russell. His first strikeout of the night, 2 away.
Free and easy, outside part of the plate. You can see the eyes of Russell. Not on the ball. Now, if he faced Mr. Happ a lot, and Baez, he wouldn't have as many walks, because these guys love to swing.
Ian Happ, one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball. Something the Cubs are dealing with. We mentioned off of the top the boomer bust nature of the lineup, with a lot of young hitters like Happ, who's only 23. It's a lot of power, but there's a lot of swing and miss in there.
Yeah, and Joe Madden has been trying to talk to his players about picking the spots to do that.
Knocked down at first by Carpenter. Race to the bag is won by Happ, and the inning kept alive.
I don't know if it made a difference, but Carlos Martinez got caught watching that play instead of reacting. Carpenter makes a nice play right here, but if we can get another shot of Carlos Martinez, he's late getting over there, and here it is. The ball's hit. The first reaction you got to have when it's hit over there is to go, and he's just kind of watching enough to where he goes for the ball instead of the bag. So there are two things. The route's not going to get you there quicker than the hitter. But the first reaction you got to make when the ball's hit to the right side is to go 90 feet towards first.
The Happ made him pay, beat him by a step to get the pitcher to the plate here in the second. Kyle Hendricks looks at a strike. Quickly 0-2.
And the best part about the National League is that in that situation, if you can get the 8th hitter out, you know you got the pitcher leading off, and it's such a bonus because you feel like 95% of the time you're going to lead off the next inning with an out.
Turns his shoulder on strike 3. 2 Ks in the inning for Martinez, who leads 2-0. roster some injuries and some key ones at that. We talked about Molina's earlier. Starting pitching has buoyed him. Third in the majors with that ERA around 3, and it's really kept him in it. 36 and 31. They're within 4.5 of the Brewers. Yeah, behind the Cubs as well in the National League Central. Bottom third of the order here in the second. Jairo Munoz to lead off. Speaking of injuries, that's why this guy's in there on an everyday basis. For Paul DeYoung, who's out with a broken finger.
Yeah, they need Mr. DeYoung. He has really solidified that shortstop both defensively and offensively. They love his offense.
Munoz hooks a one-hopper to short, and Russell throws him out. For more on these Cardinals, we go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, Joe, we've seen the Cardinals hit a home run tonight. We've seen them hit a single, but it's no surprise they haven't hit a double or a triple. They're last in the majors with 85 doubles, last in the majors with just 3 triples. In fact, 17 players have hit more triples than the Cardinals, including the Cubs' Javier Baez and Wilson Contreras. What this is, guys, is a lineup of good hitters, but not necessarily great players. And that's what they're missing, that great dynamic player in the middle of the order. Ozuna can be that guy. Manny Machado could be that guy, but the Cardinals generally resist overpaying for rentals. I don't expect them to be in that mix.
What do you think, John?
Well, the Cardinals are certainly, I thought, in the offseason, and they thought probably handled most of those transactions, meaning they made the necessary moves, but they haven't worked out. You know, the Holland move was a great late sign. It hasn't worked out. Now you're seeing Ozuna get hot. And the starting pitching has been a bonus. So
Brogan bat bouncer to first. Rizzo takes it to the bag, and Wong is out number 2.
I'm one of those guys that thought the bullpen was going to be way better. And unfortunately, when guys don't do when there's a chink in the armor and each guy tries to pick up the slack, then it becomes more pressing and it becomes more obvious. And I think they got to get settled in with a closer and work their way from there. And the Cardinals' one frustration, I would have to believe, has been their latest stretch of teams on their schedule that are not having good years, and they lost those series. And they're getting ready to get into a stretch where the teams are having really good years. So you got to think they didn't take advantage of that latest stretch with the Marlins and the Padres.
Carlos Martinez unloads on the first pitch that he sees. Schwarber runs it down and retires the side in order on just 6 pitches for Kyle Hendricks in the second. a bit as the day's rolling on, and the Chicago Cubs trying to come from behind in this one after the early home run from Marcell Ozuna, and they have, when you put the full body of work together, the top offense in the National League trying to do it. Yeah, more than 5 runs per game.
Well, that's why, you know, certain stats can be deceiving, and run differential is one of those for me, because it's about, sometimes you might win by 10 and lose by 1 a lot, but lose more than you win. And so
yeah.
Run differential. But for Joe Maddon's team, this is a byproduct of a young, basically a young lineup, learning how to mature through the big leagues and trying to change their approach so that the great pitchers that they are going to face, like they have faced in the postseason, aren't able to shut them down as easily and limit the contact.
Yeah, Joe Maddon talked about 2015 when they ran into the New York Mets, the power pitching they had. Happened again in the National League Championship Series last year against the Dodgers. We've got a few veterans sprinkled at the top of the order, like tonight with Ben Zobrist. He takes ball 1 from Carlos Martinez, but you look up and down that lineup and you see guys that are still mid-20s, early 20s, and you kind of take that for granted because there are a lot of guys that broke in at such an early age. It feels like they're older.
Yeah. And they're definitely learning on the fly. And believe it or not, even a guy like Baez has made tremendous strides. It just still looks like he wants to swing every time he gets in the box. Whereas Bryant has continuously tried to alter and adjust for year to year. He's put up production this year, lacking a little, but I'm sure that'll even out. Just go ask Paul Goldschmidt that everybody was worried about.
Zobrist goes the other way with a leadoff single here in the 3rd. Well, the Cubs will head back home on Monday for a 3-game series with the Dodgers, and you can go watch them at Wrigley Field. Get your tickets now at Cubs.com. This will be the 2 hottest teams in the National League going at it. Cubs having won 13 of their last 18. Dodgers taking on the Giants right now, 20-6 over their last month. Here's Jason Hayward. Ball 1. Former Cardinal, one of his best seasons here in St. Louis, 2015. Career best 293, won a Gold Glove. And when you put that together with what he did in Atlanta, that led to the big contract that he signed with the Cubs. Now in his 3rd year, that 8-year, $184 million deal. Finally starting to swing it like they had dreamt that he would.
Yeah, he looks a little bit like he's getting comfortable with the adjustments. It's not an easy adjustment to ask a hitter who has hit a certain way and maybe locks himself off in a certain physical way to change muscle memory. Well, if you can trust your hands and trust the new process, you'll start reaping the benefits, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening.
On a 2-0. He checks his swing, ball 3. That DL time for him he put to good use, made some tweaks like you're talking about in the batting cage. Joe Maddon, topic has come up over the last week with Chris Bryant, the value of rest. And Joe Maddon thought that was as big of a thing as anything for Hayward during the DL stint, just to get away and reset things.
I know there's probably a lot of older players listening to that and probably going,
eyes.
Are you kidding me? They're getting more off days this year than ever before. It's something they bargained and worked in, and travel, and certainly it's a younger game, so it's a lot of harder. It's harder to adjust to that. It is, but it's still hard for some of those guys to listen and hear that statement.
A pop fly on the left side of the infield. Jairo Munoz for the first out. No, it's made Joe Maddon look good. The couple rests that he's given guys. And after the DL stint for Jason Hayward, obviously not one that he chose, but he started to heat up. And then for Chris Bryant, after Joe Maddon gave him the finale in Milwaukee off, going into the off day on Thursday, came alive last night.
Yeah, he was a little worried about the heat, these 3 games that they were going to face. It's first time all year that they're going to face this kind of heat, so he wanted to be cautious with some of his guys, and he based some of that lineup changes to the weather.
Chris has his family in town this weekend. Flew him in from Las Vegas for Father's Day. Carlos Martinez continues to have a hard time finding the zone. He's home with a 1-0. Bryant swings and misses 1-1.
That's a pitch that really, I would think you could exploit him down. See that one, just the movement down, and you see with the barrel he thought the ball was going to be and completely swung over the top of it. And that's just pulling away from your mechanics. That's trying to throw a slider that absolutely has no ability to make the turn because he lost his mechanics before he released the ball, and that is the downside of the last couple starts. Inconsistency. Too many pitches thrown now nowhere close to the intended target.
On a 2-1. He misses badly again. He'd been so good prior to the DL stint at 162 earned run average over the first month and a half. And only Johnny Cueto had a better ERA in the National League. Full count.
Tempo so important for pitchers. I know it's important for hitters too, but the tempo of how you're getting ready to throw the ball.
That's a walk.
And it's similar to, you know, if you're in your windup, you basically, if you have a timer in your head, it's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 1, 2, 3, 4. It can't be rushed, it can't be too slow, and it can't be too fast, and it still applies out of the stretch. And when you're uncomfortable or you're not locked in with your mechanics, it affects the end result of what you're doing. There's no doubt. It affects what pitches you're going to throw. He's going to have to trust his changeup here, I would think, against Rizzo.
It's a high strike, 0-1. Get in his hands his first time, grounded out back to the mound. Trying to retire a guy that has homered against him 3 times in their mini meetings through the years. 2 on, 1 out. And an 0-1. But in, ball 1.
See, when Carlos Martinez is right, he should give Rizzo fits. That 2-seamer that he could start in and catch the inner part of the plate should give him fits. And especially if he throws a 4-seamer in there that doesn't move, that gets Rizzo thinking and looking in to move laterally, and then bust that changeup out.
How was that?
That's much better. See, that's just quieter. Those mechanics, again, re-emphasizing off speed. You don't have to be as. This is quieter, nice and easy. Change up, trust the grip. The grip's going to take the speed off. And then the hitter doesn't recognize that the speed is different than the fastball he just saw at 96. Now you try to go below that spot. You could actually steal another 3 inches. This is where Rizzo's tough, though. He chokes up and tries to cover all the parts of the plate without trying to overswing.
Visit coming here from Molina with 2 on and 1 out in the 3rd inning. The live coverage of the FIFA World Cup continues tomorrow. Costa Rica faces Serbia 7 a.m. Eastern on Fox, and then on FS1 Germany and Mexico at 10 Eastern, then Brazil and Switzerland Continues tomorrow on Fox and FS1, or you can stream it all live on the Fox Sports app. What a day it's been on Fox. Shocker in that earlier one, Argentina and Iceland playing to a 1-1 draw. Iceland in its very first World Cup. It's one of the great soccer powers getting a draw today. After the visit, Martinez home with a 1-2 and a ground ball to the hole. It's short. Munoz gets one at second. Not in time at first. Rizzo legs it out. The inning kept alive.
Well, the shift gets him a little bit. You can see the throw and foot just beating it, barely. Long made a nice quick turn. Munoz had to go over to get it, and Wong didn't take any time. Of course, knowing that the runner coming in can't take him out. That helps.
A 2-out chance for Contreras with the Cubs trailing 2-0 here in the third. The catcher takes a strike. Grounded to short his first time. We talk about the Cubs, leading the league in runs, even though they're not clicking on all cylinders. This is one of those spots where they've struggled with runners in scoring position.
They can expand the zone, especially with runner on third and less than 2 outs. That's what Joe Madden would love for them to be better at, putting the ball in play, getting an out, driving a run in.
Just misses with a fastball, and it's 1-2. 238 with runners in scoring position. That's 21st in the majors. So far tonight, they're 1 for 8 with a runner on.
Every once in a while, Carlos Martinez will close up that front side and kind of over rotate. I like when he does that. Can't do it all the time, especially with runners on. But what that actually does is slow him down and square him up over the rubber so that he can have the timing mechanism he needs. This kid's got electric stuff. I mean, it is top rate.
Still just 26 years old. Under team control through 2023, his age 31 season after his extension prior to last year. Trying to get out of the jam in the third. He's home with a 1-2, and Contreras shoots another foul. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Guys, the Cardinals have to be disappointed in what they're seeing out of Carlos Martinez tonight. If you remember, before the game, Mike Matheny told us he was really excited to see Martinez pitch. He thought after those first 2 starts, this would be the night he put it all together.
And he's walked 3. His next pitch will be his 25th of the inning. It's another 1-2. And it comes back and almost gets the corner. He wanted it badly.
And unfortunately, even in his last game, he had a lot of pitches like that. And a lot of times he walked off the mound. So you wonder how the umpire feels about that. He's thrown a lot of close ones. And that view looks like it's a strike, especially the way Molina catches it. And so now he's got to get back on the mound, stay determined, make another pitch with a 2-2 count.
Here it comes. Contreras does a nice job to stay alive. Kyle Schwarber due next. Hitting a walk in this inning against Martinez. Zobrist at third, Rizzo at first, and the 8th pitch to Wilson Contreras. Outside, full count. Throw down to first. Rizzo standing in the bag. He'll be moving in a moment.
Well, that one's on Yachty because he wanted it out there thinking the hitter would swing, but he's too far off the plate to entice the umpire to get a strike. And so now you got to set up a little closer. It's a good call.
Tom Woodring on balls and strikes tonight. Here comes a 3-2, and it's slapped by first off Carpenter. Long and short right, throws late, and the Cubs catch a break to get on the board here in the 3rd. It unravels on Martinez here with 2 out. Carpenter making just his 8th start of the season at first, can't handle it.
That one was hit off the end of the bat. Had funky spin. See how it changed directions? He's going towards the bag to get it, and it changed directions on the hop. And what an at bat for Contreras, and a good approach here for Mike Maddox to come out and at least settle down his highly emotional starter, because there was 3 different times he thought he was out of the inning, and that's the hard part about pitching, is resetting the brain to go, I got to do it again, because I thought I just did it. No, I got to do it again. And an unfortunate bounce and a good at bat by Contreras.
Fouled off a few on the 9th pitch. That one with a bunch of English down to first. They have, after initially ruling it an error, I think probably saw that replay with the English on the ball and changed it to a hit. Contreras gets an RBI. 28 pitches here in the 3rd. He was much more efficient in that first, but it's looked like his last 2 starts here in the last 2 innings. And now with a tying run in scoring position, Kyle Schwarber.
And that could be a byproduct of what we talked about, and also always trying to pitch away from contact. And when you're always trying to pitch away from contact, you pile up the pitches.
Schwarber goes after the first one, sends a drive to center, but it's playable for Pham, and that's that for the Cubs in the 3rd. $2 million have been raised in the challenge. You can make a pledge by going to homerunchallenge.org. Top of the order for the Cardinals. As Matt Carpenter takes a strike. We've got a couple of special guests with us on that note. Michael Milken, who is the founder and the chairman of the Prostate Cancer Foundation. The Hall of Famer Joe Torre. Welcome, gentlemen.
Well,
Thanks,
it's fantastic to be with you, don't you think, Joe, here in the booth in Baseball Center, St. Louis?
Well, I'll tell you, this is an exciting city. I played here, managed here. Once you wore a Red Sox, Cardinal uniform, you're royalty in this town. It's really cool.
So we ought to start thanking the Cardinals, thanking the Cubs, thanking Fox, thanking Major League Baseball for this idea of keeping Dad in the game that started 23 years ago. There'll be 4 million men celebrating this weekend who have had prostate cancer with their families. And the original idea was, Joe, if you remember, keep Dad in the game. Come out to the ballpark, remind your dad to just get that simple blood test when you're getting your cholesterol test, and keep Dad in the game. And so if you're an African-American man with a higher incidence probability, you need to get tested by 40. And if you're not African-American, but if someone in your family has had breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or prostate cancer, you need to get that simple test at 40 from that standpoint.
Yeah, you really have to urge the guys because, their vanity will say, I don't want to know, basically. And we're getting over that. The fact that this type of cancer, early detection saves your life. And that's what it was in my case when I was diagnosed in the spring of 1999. And this man was the first guy to call me. Wow. When that went public, and I can't thank Michael enough for not only what he did for me personally, but for what he's done for all men with the money he's raised.
But we should remember the greatest awareness program probably for any disease is this home run challenge with Major League Baseball, and the month that the most men get that simple blood test is right after Father's Day every year.
It's great. He keeps rubbing it in because when I was managing the Yankees in Chicago, he bragged about the home run that was hit against us that night because it got all his money for him.
Carpenter lines out after a tough at-bat to open this third.
Well, not only that, if you remember that game, Joe, was one of the great games in baseball history. The Yankees had come into Chicago.
Roger Clemens was my pitcher.
Trying for his 300th.
Yeah.
And the Yankees had not played in Chicago since Babe Ruth had pointed to the outfield.
And he was before my time.
He
just want to
was.
let you know that.
So the best statistic we could give you is the death rate has dropped by more than 50%. And there's 8 new drugs approved.
That's a base hit for Tommy Pham.
So men that have actually failed surgery, failed radiation, failed hormones, there's 350,000 of those that are going to join their Father's Day with their families. So even if the cancer is spread through your body, you have a 99% probability of living 5 years or longer. And as you can see here, because we can sequence now, no one would have ever dreamed of sequencing when we started 23 years ago, and even 16 years ago would have cost $1 billion to sequence your cancer. Today, less than 1,000.
Pham runs, throw down in time. He got him in the leg on the way by. Wilson Contreras throws out Tommy Pham. Matheny's saying, hold on, we're going to take a look. Pham will wait until they do. What do you think, Michael?
I think he got a fantastic jump.
Well, those guys back in New York are going to have their work cut out for him. You could see he didn't even challenge because, his man downstairs told him not to.
And so 2 out. It sounds like, Michael, the key, though, on this whole thing is the high percentage chances that you've got. That's with the early detection. You've got to be aggressive about getting in and getting checked.
But the $50 million raise from home runs, and anyone can call and pledge, we're going to have around 500 to 520 home runs this year. Last year we had 690. Last year more home runs were hit in June than in any month in the history of baseball. And I told Joe, we were on the West Coast, and there was this rumor that because Joe had had prostate cancer that the ball was somehow tighter. And last year we were able to raise more money for the greatest number of home runs ever hit.
And he's messing with my day job now.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory that you don't need.
We put that one to bed.
You know, Joe, I'm not a big fan of stats. I know that's where we're going now, but these stats are pretty impressive.
Yeah, no question.
And so I think the other element that you put up there that's really interesting is that the mutations that we now can sequence in prostate cancer occur in 72 other forms of cancer. So I would say first thing, there's a mutation in prostate cancer that occurs in 90% of everyone that dies from colon cancer, about 28% of prostate. So if we can eliminate that mutation as a cause of death, you're going to eliminate colon cancer pretty much as a cause of death as a byproduct.
Two-out walk for Molina.
And no one would have ever, dreamed these things 23 years ago. And there's another element that, with Joe, I was always riding Joe on what he ate, what he drank. We had this shake that he started drinking in the 7th or 8th inning when he was managing the Yankees. I told him, if he could drink that in the 5th inning, the team would do better and he would do better.
Yeah, he's tried to help me manage, but I was able to fight him off.
Here's Marcell Ozuna with 2 out.
The shake coupled with the green tea.
Now he has hit more home runs in June than the entire Cub team.
You are on it.
Okay, he's hit 7 home runs. He's tied with a bunch of others.
That ball came back over the plate, though, it looked like, but that's a piercing glance right there.
This is a pop fly here into center field. Ian Happ is there. Michael, Joe, we appreciate so much what you guys are doing. Appreciate you being here tonight, spreading the word.
Looking forward to Father's Day, home run challenge. Give us a pledge for home runs.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Established 1852, re-established 2018. Sun setting in St. Louis as we go to the 4th inning with the Cardinals in front of the Cubs 2-1. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal.
Mr. Martinez needs a clean inning and a quick one. He needs to get back into the pitch count that allow him to go deeper than where he's trending right now.
Walk 3, give up the 1-run last inning. It's pretty efficient in that first, but then you're right, the last 2 innings that pitch count getting around 30. At the bottom of the order here with Addison Russell to lead things off. He goes after the first pitch, sends a high fly ball to deep center field, and he's hit it out of here to open the inning. Addison Russell on the first pitch of the 4th ties the game at 2.
Almost like a get me over slider. That's not what you want to get back into the pitch count to get action, because that get me over slider went 410 feet. You see the pitch spinning right there over the middle, and if you're looking for fastball and you're going to attack the first pitch, even though that's not a fastball, that's the location you're looking, and you let it go.
And now a strike on Happ. Boy, how about Addison Russell very quietly starting to come on? He's hitting close to 400 over the last couple weeks.
That's what the Manny Machado talks will do for you.
I guess so. He's heard plenty of those. Now, the one thing that's been missing for him has been the power. That's his 3rd home run. 1-2.
See, these next 2 pitches, that one and this one, should be nowhere close to the strike zone, enticing Happ and his ability to expand the strike zone with 2 strikes.
Pitcher Hendricks on deck as Happ waits on a 2-2. That takes a fastball for strike 3. Time for a game break now. We check into the studio with Chris Myers. All right, Chris. I mean, the Major League record for home runs in a month is 57. The Dodgers right now are on pace for in the low 70s.
Say that again?
Yeah, Major League record 57. The Baltimore Orioles last August, they're on pace to hit in the low 70s here in June. Now the corner 2-2.
That's getting it done. And obviously, the first month and a half was a struggle for the Dodgers, as you well know. Their injuries and just. Is he working as fast as I think he's working?
He's working really fast. He didn't want you to talk about the Dodgers, apparently, Smoltzy. 3-2. And he walks Hendricks. The 4th walk of the night comes to the opposing pitcher. 20-6 since mid-May, the Dodgers are. Best record in baseball. And Ross Stripling from the bullpen to the rotation and maybe to the All-Star game.
He's filled in nicely. Injuries still part of the Dodgers rotation. Of course, Kershaw hopefully on his way back, getting there. Rich Hill.
The cream tends to rise to the top, doesn't he? Look at all 3 divisions in the National League. Dodgers have gotten back near the top in the East. The Nationals, after a slow start, have made a run to get close to the Braves. And Zobrist with a ground ball base hit to right. And the Cubs, after middling around for the first month and a half or so, got hot lately. 13-5 in their last 8 within a game of the Brewers. Here comes Hayward with 2 on and 1 out. I know you wouldn't be shocked to see the same division winners as last year in the National League.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see the same playoff teams.
Right.
You know, however they come in there, I wouldn't be shocked because of the way that the system is built. today, the way teams are trying to reboot.
Hayward with a hard ground ball. Wong starts it. That is 4-6-3 and a double play to finish the Cubs in the fourth. But a leadoff home run from Addison Russell has us tied at 2 from St. Louis on Baseball Night in America. Final round of the U.S. Open. Coverage starting at 10 a.m. Eastern on your local Fox station. A four-way tie atop the leaderboard going into Sunday. Who you got, Smoltzy?
I tell you what, Justin Rose just seems to be the kind of player in U.S. Opens. When the scores get this high, he can play to a level of like he did at Marion not too long ago, winning it with 1 under or +1 or even. So I don't know. It's such a difficult course with difficult conditions. This is like some kind of scores you never ever see.
No, a four-way tie at +3. Ted Jerko starts the fourth against Kyle Hendricks. Takes a strike. How's your U.S. Senior Open preparation going?
It doesn't go good when I'm watching that. Seeing those numbers.
It's a little intimidating.
But yeah, it's doing okay. I'm trying to slow everything down.
About a week and a half, 2 weeks away now?
Yeah, I leave next Monday, a week from Monday. I just figure, you know what? Bring a couple diapers and go out there and, you know, just play golf, knowing you're going to wet yourself.
That's one way to do it.
I'm so looking forward to it.
You're going to do great. Hendricks gave up a 2-run home run to Ozuna in the first. It's a ground ball here that Addison Russell cuts off, and Ted Jerko is the first out of the fourth.
That's a perfect example, by the way, of trying to pull Hendricks. That pitch was away, and he tried to pull it, ground ball to short.
What have you thought of him so far?
Well, you know, early on, it looked like the extension of his fastball, feeling for it, whatever it is. Now he's getting better with his fastball, as he has shown as the game goes on, and he gets a little bit better. And certainly the 2-run home run in the first. If that's all you give up, you typically won't beat you.
Dexter Fowler, the base is empty and 1 out. Rips one down the line. Jason Hayward won't get there. And Dexter Fowler can breathe a sigh of relief, snapping an 0 for 16 with that base hit. Cardinals are in an interesting situation with him, where they're paying a lot of money, but who has really struggled. And then they have Harrison Bader playing really well.
Yeah, you know, again, some things are hard to explain. And right there, he had gotten beat on off speed in this horrid stretch he's been in. And I think he finally made up his mind, says, I am going to hit a breaking ball. He has not hit many for hits lately. And he probably sat on it, and now he's smiling because it feels good to get a hit. But he sat on a breaking ball off speed and waited back and got rewarded, because that is the pitch that has been absolutely giving him fits.
In a tie game in the 4th inning, he's aboard for Jairo Munoz. It takes strike 1. Fowler had one of his best moments of the season, one of his only bright moments of the season against these Cubs, with that 14th inning walk-off home run against a group that he had so much fun playing with in those 2 years. It's one of his best buddies over there at first, and Anthony Rizzo. Ball and a strike.
That's the one thing I've seen more often that you would never see. He did not intend to throw it up there. He almost crouches down and then tries to come back to throw the ball and comes out of his mechanics. He is precision with his location. That's what makes him special. That's why he had that special year a couple years ago. Watch how see how he lowers his shoulders and then comes out of it. It's like duck, raise. That's not who Kyle Hendricks is.
It has been a constant grind for him. 2 years ago, you mentioned he was so good. He was an ERA champ in the National League. Strike 2-2. It's good again last year. He's finished strong after a bit of a bumpy start and had an ERA around 3. And when he put together the last 3 years, only Kershaw and Scherzer have lower earned run averages than Kyle Hendricks.
I love watching him pitch. I mean, we've gotten used to velocity stuff.
It's in on Munoz, who flexes one to short right. That'll dunk in front of Hayward. Comes up gunning. Fowler's at third standing, and the Cardinals have them cornered with 1 out.
Now that's just an excellent read by Fowler, knowing where Hayward's playing and getting the jump off the bat, because no one goes first to third on Hayward if you don't react this way. As soon as the ball's hit, he knows the gap that's behind him, and so he's off to the races. The hitter kind of feels good about it, and once he sees that right there, he knows that Hayward has a great arm, but that his legs are going to be able to beat it. Good read, and then he takes off right now.
And a big deal getting to third with 1 out. Representing the go-ahead run here in the 4th is Colton Wong. Watches a changeup float in for strike 1. So they got a hit from Fowler, who's been searching, and now they're hoping for something from Wong, who similarly is having the worst season of his career. Got Fowler at third and Munoz at first. And on an 0-1, cuts and misses.
See, I know this is the way the game's going. That was a home run swing.
With a man at third and a
that
tie
wasn't
game.
a gap swing. That wasn't, you know, get it over the. That was, I'm going to hit a 3-run homer, and I'm just going to let it go. And now he's going to have to change that approach with 2 strikes.
3 consecutive changeups took this one.
Three straight changeups. At some point, Kyle Hendricks is going to throw a 2-seamer in on him to try and get that strike call.
4 straight changes.
Might come right here. But when he's locked in with that 2-seamer, It's the Maddox-like two-seamer. I'm telling you, it's a poor man's version of Greg Maddox. Greg was the greatest at it.
At the corners, one out. Had him leaning, but he got back in.
Man, I wish we would change the way we do the replays.
How so?
Give them 3 flags or 3 whatever. And you just got to, with your gut, you got to say boom instead of waiting, looking. Because instant replay was not meant for every single play, in my opinion. It was meant to get the obvious correct. So the way football has, you know, you got to basically, with your gut, you just got to go, okay, boom, throwing it out there. I think it would help. I mean, you wouldn't see as many.
What kind of time limit you put on it?
I mean, 10 seconds. I mean, the fact that you're just absolutely having to use your gut or take a chance.
Another changeup, foul ball.
And we've done a nice job speeding that process up too. So they've made adjustments. You know, they've asked everybody to get quicker. But
game times are down under 3 hours.
And that could be a little deceiving, by the way.
Why is that?
Runs are down. Games are less scoring. We're seeing more 1-0, 2-1. Some of that bad weather.
Strikes out on a high fastball. A big second out for Kyle Hendricks.
Bad at bat right there, and that's trying to do too much in front of the pitcher. When you know the pitcher's on deck, you know, sometimes you got to just swallow it and let the pitcher do what he can do with the bases loaded. But the 8th spot in the National League is a very difficult hitting spot because you're constantly playing in your mind. You're going, is he going to pitch to me? Is he not? Is he pitching around me? Right there, he swung at a ball, and now Martinez is trying to help his own cause.
He got 5 consecutive changeups and then chase that fastball. Hendricks' first strikeout of the night has him on the verge of getting out of it, and he starts Martinez with a strike. Well, Martinez, no slouch as a hitter. He's got a home run this season and swung at the first pitch he saw tonight. He hit a 105-mile-per-hour line out to left. Fowler at third, Munoz at first. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Because of that, Kyle Schwarber's playing deeper. And you don't see an outfield play deep on a pitcher at the plate, but they are.
How about that? He's way out there. Hendricks, a 28-year-old out of California, trying to get out of a jam in the 4th. He falls behind Martinez 2-1 with Matt Carpenter waiting on deck. Two and two.
Well, Kyle Hendricks is not going to, I think he'd be a tremendous poker player because I don't think he'd ever know what he has. I mean, he's very stoic. He asked Joe Madden, how do you know anything about him? Because he could have won the lotto or given up 5 home runs in an inning, and you're never going to know the difference. He says, I have my little ways of knowing his frustration and certain things that might bother him that typically you don't see.
Fly to right field. Hayward comes on. Can't get it. Carlos Martinez delivers. The throw to third, not in time. And the Cardinals have retaken the lead on a 2-out hit from their pitcher, Martinez.
Well, what an effort by Jason Hayward. This is closing speed at the best, and it's not hit very firm, but he gets there and almost That would have been an interesting review. It almost looked like it did kind of bounce in there and as he flipped it up, but such a great defender in right field. Not too many people would have been able to get that close to the baseball.
So Martinez, who previously had the lone RBI of the season on his solo home run, drives in his second here as Fowler scores. Munoz went to third, and so Carpenter has him at the corners with 2 out. Second time through the order against Kyle Hendricks. 7 of the 9 Cardinals reached. One of them that didn't was Carpenter, and maybe the hardest hit ball of the bunch, lining out.
Runners in scoring position, a little bit high. I mean, 262 coming into the game. It's not horrible, but with 2 outs, much better at 143. So that one hurts. That little. He made the pitch against Wong and actually made a decent pitch against Martinez, but dropped in.
Two balls, 1 strike. Two on, 2 out, 2-1. Slashed in the air to left. Back goes Schwarber onto the warning track to catch it in front of the wall and finish the inning. But Carlos Martinez putting the Cardinals back in front with a 2-out base hit to right on Baseball Night in America. Baseball's biggest stars at the 89th Major League Baseball All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard, July 17th on Fox. This is how it looks right now. The National League All-Star team, based on votes at this point. Still time to go.
That's a pretty good team. They're getting it right.
Well, 3 Atlanta Braves on there. Who would have thought that'd be the case coming into the year? Chris Bryant taking ball 1 from Carlos Martinez.
This is where Carlos has to lock in and pretend it's the 9th inning. He really has to pitch this 5th like it's the 9th, given the lead he just got back.
So far tonight, it's been more of the same for him. He's issued 4 walks, and in the 3 starts since the DL, that's 16 walks and 11 2/3.
A couple more things to clean up, and he'll get back on track.
Falls behind Bryant.
He's right. He throws a 2-1 slider right here to Bryant.
Did. Bryant took it.
But see, some of those are not close enough to entice the hitter. So what the hitter's done, they watch the same video. They don't watch the same video I do or anybody else watches leading up to it. Be more selective because he hasn't had his command.
Caught the corner, full count.
And see, the strike zone tonight has been more up. That's not where Martinez wants it. I mean, he's got the benefit of a couple up there, but not got the benefit of a couple down. He'd rather have it down based on his changeup and slider.
Leadoff walk. Leadoff man has reached in 4 of the 5 innings against him. So that's 5 total free passes issued tonight. Anthony Rizzo to the plate in a 3-2 game. Himself again after a really miserable start to the year. And he admitted that month of April weighed on him. He said I'm only human. So he hit 149. Didn't have an extra base hit in the month of April. But he's gotten it going, leading the National League in RBIs since the start of May and hitting above 300 in that stretch.
So I did a little digging, you know, trying to see his history. Cold month, warm month. You know, what's his history? What's his back of his card say? It should say I'm Mr. Consistent, because every month is about the same with the exception of April.
Fouls off the pitch, 1-1.
So how about this for consistency? April 29 homers, May 31, then 34, then 33, then 29, and he falls off in September with 21. RBIs 91, 106, 100, 97, 98, 88, and basically the average is all around 270 or above 260s. First half hitter 267, second half hitter 265.
And you put it all together and you've got a guy who has 4 consecutive 30 home run seasons. 3-time All-Star in his 6th full year. On a 1-1 from Martinez, takes it high and works ahead, 2 balls, 1 strike. Acquired in 2012, right in the middle of the 5 straight last place finishes for the Cubs. There were 53 players that played for that 2012 Cub team. Anthony Rizzo, the only one left. So they've completely rebuilt the team. It's under this one. Slicing its way down the line. This is not an easy play that Jed Jerko makes going away for the first out.
Did a nice job tracking this with the shift. As soon as it's hit, he goes to the spot where he thinks it's going to be and gets on the line, and then at this point he's got it tracked.
Rare start for Jerko at third. Matt Carpenter handling the majority of the starts there this season. Carpenter over at first tonight. No Jose Martinez this weekend. Wilson Contreras. Plays a bunt down. Martinez fading away and throwing it wide. Carpenter does well to come off of the bag. A bunt single for Contreras.
Boy, Martinez got off the mound real quick to go get this. This is a great bunt with Jerko being back. Watch how quick. I mean, this is a perfect execution. But he gets to it in plenty of time, tries to get that throw on line, but Contreras can run for a catcher. Martinez makes a nice effort. Luckily, he didn't chuck it a little higher.
The walk and the bunt hit. Kyle Schwarber comes up with the tying run on base. Go ahead run on base. 3-2 game in the 5th.
Yeah, just a little bit of stalling. Reset the mind here because bullpen's starting to get going. It's been the story since the DL stint. He has not been efficient with the amount of pitches that they basically give a starter today.
Austin Gomber getting loose. The 3 mound visits left. Rarely do you see a team get close to their allotted number of mound visits. Schwarber's got a walk and a line out. Similar story to much of the year for the Cubs. Some issues with runners in scoring position. 1 for 5 so far tonight. Right down the middle, strike 1. Oh, Schwarber's home run last night.
On a high breaking ball.
Take strike 2. It's the 3rd longest home run by a visiting player in this park's history.
He knew it right away. I mean, you could tell the batter a curveball's coming. That's a high one. That's even hard to hit when they're that high, but not the night we anticipated out of Michael Walker. He was rolling coming into it.
Yeah, he had won 8 in a row and then gave up a career high 8 earned runs last night. Even with that, Cardinals starting rotation 3rd in the majors behind the Astros and the Nationals, and what has kept them within striking distance with an offense that's been inconsistent, with a bullpen that's dealt with injuries, been inconsistent as well. Another 0-2. Schwarber cracks his bat on a flare that'll drop into center. Here comes Chris Bryant to tie the game. The throw goes to 3rd, not in time. Into 2nd goes Schwarber. It's 3-3.
Breaking ball rolls over the middle of the plate. 2 strikes. You cannot throw it there. And the speed and the anticipation of the ball being hit by Bryant and the speed of Contreras. By him going to 3rd and drawing the throw, he got the runner to go to 2nd.
Just in there safe. So now 2nd and 3rd in a tie game in the 5th, and Addison Russell, who went deep to center on the first pitch that he saw his last time. Again, swings at the first pitch, late on this one. It's the 3rd inning in a row that the leadoff man has reached against Martinez. And coming to score. Here's the 0-1. Way outside. against a drawn-in infield with 1 out in the 5th. Addison Russell swings and misses at 98, 1-2.
Well, there's one of the better fastballs. We usually see 98, 99 every once in a while. There's probably the firmest fastball we've seen of the night. And by Russell.
Martinez could really use a strikeout here. Only 3 of them so far tonight. He's got number 4 in the corner.
Tough decision for Mike Matheny here. He saw 2 good fastballs he hasn't seen most of the night. And Happ coming to the plate. So he's going to trust Martinez to pitch with the bases loaded and pitch to Hendricks, so it doesn't look like Joe with the deke of the on deck circle hitter of Almora to stay with a starter.
A little bit earlier than normal, but we have seen Joe Madden be very aggressive in pinch hitting for Kyle Hendricks. Figures there's more offense to be had in this one, and lets him hit for himself with the bases loaded and a tie game in the 5th. Strike 1. Last start, Tommy La Stella was called on as a pinch hitter to get Hendricks in the bottom of the 5th inning. Thrown 87 pitches at that point. There were 2 men on in a 1-0 game. It was a poor weather day. Ball wasn't really flying, so Joe Madden decided to take him out, and Hendricks publicly agreed with him. Hitting for himself with the bases jammed in the 5th. And Martinez makes quick work of it. The Cubs have tied it on a Schwarber base hit halfway home in St. Louis. So far,
you know, some good and not so good. I mean, the big thing I'm noticing, they're not chasing this changeup like they normally do, and I've been looking from the side, looking for something different. He and I talked earlier in the game, maybe just a little quick with his body, but overall kind of looks the same. The numbers are good. Those are all soft hits to the right side that last inning. The best contact has been Ozuna so far. Otherwise, they have not hit him hard.
Joe, looks like the at-bat's a little bit better, but people don't talk about your base running, your team's aggressive base running, and that we saw evidence of that last inning.
Yeah, Ryan Butterfield's done a great job from spring training on. That's all we talk about. We want to be the best base running team in both leagues. So far this year, I think we're pretty much in that level with the metrics, etc. We want to push it. I mean, everybody's always waiting for the home run. I want us to be able to score runs in other methods.
Joe, we appreciate your time.
You got it, guys.
Tommy Pham starting this 5th inning against Hendricks and taking a strike. And they are, he's right, the #1 base running team in baseball by pretty much any metric you can look at. Pham has reached both times, a walk and a single. His hitting streak now at 10 games with that base hit. It's an odd thing. We're talking about Tommy Pham struggling.
Get 10 game hitting streak.
Yeah. Foul tipped 1-2, and we check in with Kenny.
That home run last night by Tommy Pham was his first in 18 games, and he was joking before the game that maybe he should call J.D. Martinez. The two hit together in the offseason, and Pham said that Martinez has a drill for every conceivable mechanical flaw that might arise. That is what makes him so good. Now with Pham, you guys mentioned the vision problems earlier, but he believes his latest struggles are more due to that right groin trouble he had in late April, early May. He got out of whack mechanically, and that is why JD was on his mind.
And injuries have been such a huge part of his story, Kenny. Good stuff. We appreciate that. But through his entire run through the minor leagues, and even when he was first starting to get major league opportunities. I mean, look, 2 years ago, he makes his first opening day roster. And as luck would have it, first at bat of the season injures his oblique. And he winds up getting limited to about a half a season. It's ball one on Yadier Molina. He's torn both shoulders, broke his wrists, tore a ligament in his thumb. Bad quad injury entering what would have been his rookie year in the majors. And then finally got that first everyday opportunity, a true breakout season as a 29-year-old last year. Hendricks to Molina with a 2-0. 3 balls, no strikes.
The last couple of years, it just seems like the Cardinals in their farm system, when guys have been called up, they've gotten off to fast starts and then just couldn't live up to it, go into funks. And some of those guys have gone elsewhere now. It just hasn't all clicked for an organization where it clicked for a long time. Piscotty, Grichuk.
Scotty now in Oakland, Grichuk in Toronto. That's a walk for Molina. Levis Diaz in Toronto as well.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's telecast is sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company. Cardinals last year were 83-79. That was their fewest wins in a decade. Missed the postseason for a second consecutive year, and like you mentioned, so many years it had become the expectation that they go. They've gone 6 consecutive years, and this is only the second time this century that they've missed the postseason back-to-back seasons. Marcell Ozuna 1 on 1 out.
They could basically last year blame the Cubs single-handedly.
Yeah.
Beat them 14 out of 19 times, right?
Yeah.
14-5. That's a tough pitch to hit right there.
Ozuna's had a couple tonight that he hasn't liked. Tom Woodring. Now he gives one away, 0-2.
Yeah, that's usually what happens with a hitter. Talking to himself. Probably talking to the umpire by talking to himself.
Hendricks downhill 0-2, and Ozuna drags one foul.
Hardest part about sports and even baseball, even when you're on the mound and you got 2 strikes on the hitter and you don't get the 3rd strike, is to let it go. Or as a hitter, you get a bad call on the first strike. It's only the first strike, right? But in your mind, you know it's not a strike. And instead of focusing on the next two, you still remember that one. It just happens. It's human nature.
Showed the glove high, wanted the pitch low, and the deke might have helped. He gets Ozuna. 2 out.
Ozuna, he couldn't stop himself from going forward. Even if he tried to sell it, that was too late.
Mike Matheny kill with that look at the Tom Woodring, who typically is the most hitter-friendly umpire in baseball. Our son Ozuna saying, huh? Ted Jerko with 2 out. Swings at the first pitch, and Chris Bryant at third will feed to Zobrist at second. And we go to the 6th, tied at 3. Pitcher profile. Starting pitching has been the biggest strength for this Cardinals team, with the bullpen 23rd in baseball with that 4.45 ERA.
Yeah, not what I thought when they assembled their bullpen. The names they put there on the roster, thought it was going to be a very underrated bullpen. Injuries and lack of consistency.
Bring on the rookie Austin Gomber for Ben Zobrist at the top of the order, and he misses with a fastball.
Knuckle curveball, a changeup. You saw the fastball already. He likes the curveball.
Back-to-back fastballs and a bullet that's caught by Jerko.
Zobrist has had some good at-bats. That one, he'll get an attaboy. That's about it.
First time he's been retired tonight. And now Gomber to face the left-handed batting Jason Hayward. He was 0 for 3. One of the encouraging things for him lately, though, has been how he's improved against left-handed pitching. Here he watches a curve that you mentioned, strike one.
2 out grand slam.
How about that?
Win a game.
0-2.
Well, again, I know it's, everybody knows in June you're creeping up on the All-Star break. You're trying to finish as strong as you can to get that break. But for this game and this series, I just can't say enough that the Cardinals need to find a way to win.
Left that one up, banged on a line to center, but right at Tommy Pham.
Because when you think about where they're headed and the schedule they've got going and the teams that are in front of them, at some point they've got to stay close enough, because after the break, these two teams are going to play a lot. 8 of the first 11 or something like that. And if you're not in first place and you're playing teams that are in second and third.
That's what you're referencing. I mean, they had a chance to make hay, like you were talking about. They went through that stretch with 3 last place teams. Strike 1 on Chris Bryant. They go 4-5 against the Marlins, the Reds, and the Padres. And now they've got this 6 consecutive series against teams above 500, including 4 first place teams.
And I know it's easy to lose favor when things are going bad. You lose an edge. Your bullpen doesn't have an edge. Your offense is not scaring people. But as we talked about, the starting rotation has held its own and been, way better than people could think with their age, young staff. But this is still a pretty good team. I mean, it's not like. But a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people, and the glass is half empty. It's not half full, and they got to find a way to make it half full. He can help, Pham, and he can help get hot. Their offense starts striking fear again. He definitely can help.
Yeah, get the young back. Bryant strikes out swinging, and a 1-2-3-6 for Austin Gomber on 9 pitches. The first, Russell has a home run of his own. Kyle Hendricks back to work against Dexter Fowler. Off we go in the bottom of the 6th. 1 ball, no strikes.
See if that last hit got Hendricks to stop throwing Fowler a curveball. I wouldn't think so.
Well, you mentioned how many issues he's had against breaking balls this year. That's his first hit against a curveball all year. A fastball on 2-0. Missing. 3 balls, no strikes on Dexter Fowler. Now Hendricks trying to record it out in the 6th for only the 2nd time in his last 6 starts. A leadoff walk.
Yeah, that's not a good sign, and certainly won't be good for Madden. He's going to want his pitching coach to go out there and talk to him right now, I would think.
Eddie Rosario starting to warm.
Looks like he was ready to go, but
up comes Munoz. First strike of the inning for Hendricks. Fowler at first and an 0-1. Munoz shows bunt and takes a ball.
not a bad idea. Get Bryant's attention.
I mentioned how the Cardinals have turned the roster over the last year or so. Jairo Munoz, a product of that, came over in the Stephen Piscotty deal this winter. Debuting as a 23-year-old this year. On the corner, 1-2.
Can't be in pull mode right here. That's a recipe for Russell to Zobrist.
Got his hands in, yanked the base hit to left. And now Fowler headed for third. He's out. Even when it's going right for him, it's not going right.
I tell you, Schwarber's such a different left fielder defensively, and I don't know what Fowler was trying to do, what he was trying to bait Schwarber in doing, but clear base hit. Aggressively, Schwarber comes in and then fires it back to Zobrist, and there Fowler's got no chance.
Would have had first and second, nobody out. And instead, man at second, one out. The 8-hitter Colton Wong up. Strike one. Product of a guy just trying to do too much in a season where he can't seem to get anything going.
I mean, I don't think he anticipated he would come up and be ready to fire back at second, because he really was just, the play was in front of him. It's not like he was trying to bait him into doing something different. He just got caught.
No. We've made more outs on the bases than any team in the National League. And a key one there in a tie game here in the 6th, helping Kyle Hendricks out. Now he's facing the bottom of the order. Colton Wong on a 1-1 pitch. Pops one down the line. Rizzo's out, Hayward's on and makes the catch. Wong is out number 2. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the LG G7 Thin Q. What's it gonna take? A tie game with a go-ahead run in scoring position. Pitcher's spot due up. Luke Voigt called on as a pinch hitter, and here comes Jim Hickey with a scouting report.
Well, my wishes when pitching coach would come out is give me a positive command. Don't give me one that leaves me in between. If you want me to do something, tell me to do it. But don't leave a, hey, we can pitch around this guy, or don't hang a breaking ball, or don't leave one out over the plate. Don't give me a don't.
Tell me do.
Tell me do.
All ready to go down in the bullpen. Hendricks trying to finish off 6 as Voigt looks at strike 1. Voigt called up with Jose Martinez on the paternity list this weekend. Martinez quietly has been their best hitter in a lot of ways this year. Oh, 1. Voigt chases strike 2.
Always an interesting position for the pitcher because he knows more than likely this is his last hitter. Got a lefty in the pen, Carpenter up next, 2 outs. So you're trying to make the 3 best pitches you can. And see if your team can reward you with a run in the top of the 7th. Oh, been there so many times.
A few, huh?
And then you learn how to deal with them rather than press and end up leaving the game with runners on, and then of course bringing in the loss factor and extra runs factor.
You'd rather not put it in somebody else's hands here, right? And you get a chance to wrap up 6. Munoz at second, 2 out, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Luke Voigt, who asked for time.
Also having a hard time getting together here on this pitch.
Munoz is okay with that.
And they're going to go and do another mound visit to make sure. We could have a record amount of mound visits, even though we haven't seen a team, to my knowledge, burn them out.
I think it happened one time. The Angels did it in like late April. But yeah, rarely does a team get close. Averaged about 7.5 visits per game last year. That's down below 4 with the new limits. A 1-2. Hendricks able to finish off 6. To the late innings we go. Tied at 3. with Joe Madden, Jim Hickey. Sam Tuivailala comes on. Face the middle part of the Cubs order. Anthony Rizzo leads the inning off. It's a hard ground ball base hit. Leadoff single, Anthony Rizzo.
I don't know if he's looking for a breaking ball, but again, the location of a breaking ball first pitch looked enticing on the height of the fastball, and he took it right up the middle. Sometimes, even though you may not look for a particular pitch, you're looking for something up, and he got it and took it right back up the middle. It has been dicey the last couple innings for Cardinals pitchers. They have not made it easy by retiring the first couple hitters.
That was the biggest issue tonight for Carlos Martinez. He walked the leadoff man, or allowed the leadoff man to reach in 3 consecutive innings, and that's accounted for the 3 runs. All 3 times came in to score. Wilson Contreras 2 for 3 tonight with a pair of infield singles. Figure it's only a matter of time before this guy's power stroke arrives after he hit those 21 homers last year. Only 4 here in 2018. Here he lays down another bunt. Did that for a hit earlier. Here it'll move the go-ahead run into scoring position.
Don't see bunts too often,
especially from catchers. Back-to-back trips out there.
I mean, I like it because Schwarber's up, then Russell. I mean, you just basically pass the baton on, and you trust that even if they walk them, which they're doing, you now got action and multiple people on.
So the intentional walk has him at first and second. And it gets a righty-righty matchup for Tuivailala. And Addison Russell, who hit his 3rd home run of the season tonight, to lead off the 4th.
Call that a cement mixer. The way the barrel of the cement just kind of rotates in that direction, that's what that slider did. It spins and stays right in the middle.
Strike 1. Career high average, career high on base percentage for Russell. It's just those power numbers have been down. Kind of the last thing to come for him this year, as he tries to bounce back from a down 2017. Two on, 1 out, 0-1, and a breaking ball that he got away with. Popped up into short left. Munoz for out number 2.
Boy, did he get away with that one. Woo, just maybe enough off speed. Just enough off the fastball that he fouled off. That one.
So the Cardinals catching a break. And with 2 out, it's Ian Happ. And a home run last night. He's got a single and a walk tonight. A 23-year-old in his 2nd season. Cuts and misses, strike 1. Tommy La Stella waits on deck. If Happ can keep this inning going. 1-1.
This full house crowd's waiting to erupt for their Cardinals, trying to get them back on track, break this losing streak.
Got Got him swinging with a fastball, 1-2. The Cardinals have dropped 3 in a row. They've not lost more than 3 in a row all season. One of a handful of teams in the majors that can say that.
And interesting when you break down a season. Every team, good or bad, is going to basically have some baselines. They're all going to lose 4 or 5 in a row, win 4 or 5 in a row.
Half down the line. That is a fair ball to give the Cubs their first lead of the night. Rizzo's in to score. Schwarber stopped at third on a go-ahead double from Ian Happ.
Another hanging breaking ball. Guys in the dugout. Guys in the dugout are happy about Contreras getting the runner to second, but watch where this pitch is. Look where he wants it, and then Molina just kind of melts. Understanding where the pitch was and the batter that's at the plate who swings and misses a lot.
Happ, who's been somewhat of a Cardinal killer in his short career. But Chicago in front. Puts Hendricks in position to win this game. Yeah, gets Tommy La Stella to the plate with a chance to add on. It's time for Flipping the Switch, sponsored by Boost Mobile, as Dexter Fowler ran the Cardinals out of a potentially big inning.
Yeah, he'd like to have that back. Sam would like to have that last breaking ball back.
That's it for him. Back in a moment. Now the rookie phenom Jordan Hicks on to pitch with runners at second and third and 2 out. And Tommy La Stella pinch hitting, taking ball 1 at 101, and ho hum when it comes to Hicks.
It's an amazing arm. I don't know if I believe 105, but nonetheless, fastball that is explosive and moves. I mean, moves a lot. How does it have time to move that much?
Took a little off.
See that right there, that 99, way better than 105. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes the way the hitter sees the ball and the lateral movement is not as quick as that right there. That is just no chance. But if you try to do any better and you try to throw it 105, he has been up there before.
Yeah, the 105 missed by 5 feet.
Yeah, I just think that was a misread too. I don't believe all those. I just don't. I mean, I know guys throw harder. We have different measurings. They're measuring it different. So everybody's fastball is going to go up about 1 mile an hour based on the way they measure it today versus the way they measured it before. So take that into consideration. But irregardless, this guy's got a legit arm. It's Chapman-like on the right-hand side.
More pitches of 100 miles per hour than anybody in baseball. This one's turned back up the middle and behind the bag. Munoz fields it and throws wide, but a nice play by Carpenter to get the tag on La Stella. The Cubs have taken their first lead of the night and a 2-out double for Ian Happ. And we stretch in St. Louis on Baseball Night in America. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Cardinals finish up this homestand tomorrow night against the Cubs before returning home again on late June to begin a 6-game homestand against the Indians and the Braves. You can get your tickets now at Cardinals.com. Come out to Busch Stadium. Randy Rosario is on to pitch for the Cubs, and the bullpen has been a nice surprise for them and really consistently their biggest strength this year.
Yeah, definitely. And this young man, Joe Madden, likes a lot. Quick arm, good sink, good breaking ball. Likes a lot that he has been able to bring to the bullpen so far this year.
Facing the top of the Cardinals order in a 4-3 game, Matt Carpenter looks at strike one. And really it's this depth that Rosario's part of that quietly has set this pen apart. The guys like Corey Mazzoni, Luke Farrell, Justin Hancock, Rosario, that they've shuttled back and forth between here in Iowa. Together, those guys putting up really quality innings, not just eating innings, but putting up zeros. Slash down the line, foul. The bullpen ranks earned run average third best in the National League, and this is one of the primary questions coming in.
Yeah, well, they replaced closers, someone you're familiar with. Pitched with the Dodgers, did a great job in Morrow. They've added enough pieces.
0-2 to Carpenter. Stays alive.
But I thought what the Cubs did, and just the ability for them in their starting rotation, that has been the only area that they have not really lived up to. I mean, Darvish has not been Darvish yet. Chatwood is trying to get to that point, feel comfortable with a new team. Quintana got room to improve, get better. It's really been Lester and Hendricks.
Carpenter fouls another. Still no balls and 2 strikes. Jose Quintana has been better lately with his handful of starts, but still the ERA above 4 for him. Overall, the rotation 10th in the National League. Oh, 2. Carpenter fouls it again.
That one didn't feel good.
No, it got him good. He says he's fine. Ken Rosenthal with the deadline about a month and a half away now. What do the Cubs need? Do they have any idea?
They don't, Joe. And Jed Hoyer, their general manager, is here in St. Louis, and he addressed reporters yesterday on this very topic. And he basically said, right now, we don't know exactly what we will need, if anything. Their team is pretty well set. And John just talked about the rotation, and they've had some disappointments there, no question. But Darvish is coming back probably around the All-Star break, and they also have the possibility of Drew Smyly, a free agent signing coming off Tommy John surgery, could be ready in August. That gives them another depth piece. So really, it's going to depend on what happens over the next 5 weeks.
Rosario induces a pop-up of Carpenter that Russell puts away. John, what do you do with Mike Montgomery when Yu Darvish comes back?
Yeah, he becomes a real good weapon out of the pen. Mike Montgomery has been a nice piece. He's more than likely going to get a either quick chat or a pitching change. Looks like a pitching change.
Rosario does his job. It's a quick one. Back into the bullpen they go with Steve Cishek. Dodgers and the Mets, and some will get the Royals and the Astros, who have won 10 in a row. Dallas Keuchel picking up the win tonight. Steve Cishek for Tommy Pham, and he delivers ball 1. Pham tonight walked and scored on the Ozuna home run in the first, singled in the third, and grounded out. On a 2-0 from CHN. Takes ball 3. Strike 1.
CHN with that unusual power sinker from that angle, kind of hunched over but never raises back up to throw anything other than low 3/4.
Base is empty. 1 out in the 7th, and a 3-2 to Pham that he punches and a bounce to second. Easy play, Ben Zobrist. 2 gone. We're talking about those Mariners, and Chris Myers in studio has a game break with an update on them. All right, Chris. Yadier Molina to the plate with 2 out. 1-run game here. Are you somebody who looks at that absurd number of 1-run wins and says they're getting good luck, or do you look at it and say they're clutch in tight games and have a good bullpen?
Yeah, I think the fact that that gives you confidence that plays out down the year, but I just don't know that that's a recipe that you can continue, and just by odds alone, right? I think it's one thing to have 3-run leads that turn into 1-run leads that you win. It's another thing to literally win 1-run games in the fashion that they're winning. So tremendous effort by a team that had some bad news, you know, with Cano and the likes of not being able to have their superstars. So they have rallied, and that closer has gotten to the point where he feels like, and it looks like, he might be automatic, that young flamethrower.
And even though they've been red hot, the only hotter team is in their division. Astros getting their 10th consecutive win tonight. They're back in first. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, it's interesting. The Mariners revival has roots in both of these teams. Their new assistant pitching coach, Jim Brower, previously was the Cubs minor league pitching coordinator, and their bullpen coach is a guy from right here in St. Louis. His name is Brian DeLunis, and he was the director of pitching development for a company called CSE Talent. He's one of these pitch tracking guys, and he's been a big difference for the Mariners.
There are your standings in the West. 2-team race at this point as the Angels have faded back. Cishek to Molina with a 2-2. Yadier Molina, 35 years old, in his 15th year in the majors. Been an all-star 8 times, a Gold Glover 8 times. Trying to keep the line moving for Marcell Ozuna. Fouls another. And, I mentioned the Gold Gloves early on in his career. That was like the exclusive calling card. He was well below average offensively. This is his OPS plus, where 100 is average. Anything below that, below league average. Anything above it, above. First 7 years in the league, he was well below average offensively. But the last 8 years, to his elite defense, he's added offense. He's number 3 among catchers in that category the last 8 years. He's worked the count full against Cishek.
Yeah, he definitely's gone to the next level, and that next level was when his good friend and teammate left, I think, Pujols. And he took over offensively and made that contract look worth every cent.
3 years, $60 million extension before last year. It's a chopper to third that Bryant stabs, and Cishek with a scoreless 7th. MLB.com/vote. And catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 17th, live on Fox and ESPN Radio. The Cubs 4, the Cardinals 3 to the 8th inning. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, and Ken Rosenthal. Jordan Hicks for his second inning of work. Top of the order, it's Ben Zobrist. Mike Matheny has an interesting challenge that we touched on a little bit in Hicks' first inning of work, but because of the injury issues they've had down there and because of how good Hicks has been, he's really leaning heavily on a very young arm. 1-1.
Yeah, and a new role because he was a starter. Obviously now in this role, tough to make the move or change with the success that he could have and really the need they've got in the bullpen.
Smacks one to the hold it short. Munoz across his body. Carpenter can't dig it out. Zobrist aboard to open the 8th.
Don't know that they would have got Zobrist. Good approach to hitting 101. Slaps it the other way. Gets down the line still pretty good. And a do or die scoop for Matt Carpenter.
E6. It's a tough error.
That is a tough error. I think anytime you got to go in the hole and you don't make a normal throw, meaning you make an off balance throw, I don't know how you can give a guy an error when he wasn't positioned there and he got to the ball and tried to make basically a do or die throw. So maybe that's a home field scoring system.
Jason Hayward unloads on the first pitch, and there it goes. A 2-run shot to give the Cubs some breathing room in the 8th. And boy, has he come alive for the Cubs.
The Cubs got swept last time they were here, and they're trying to return the favor against the Cardinals with a 3-run lead. And talk about trusting your hands and getting out in front of velocity. Jason Hayward had a problem doing that before. It doesn't seem to be a problem now.
Chris Bryant, strike one, 104. Hayward hitting the ball harder than he has since he was in Atlanta. Strictly 0-2.
That's a pitch he's got to plant in the hitter's head. I mean, again, with the fastball velocity, and they do put it in play a lot more than people think. That pitch right there will change some things for hitters geared up for velocity, I guarantee you.
Threw it again, and Bryant was nowhere close. We go back to that home run from Jason Hayward, his 4th this year.
Geared up, I'm going to hit the first pitch fastball, and that's exactly what he did. He used the power of Hicks, simple swing of Hayward. The ball goes a long way when the man throws that hard.
Can you imagine if this is real from him? You add that to this lineup. He's shown that he can do it before. All-Star as a rookie in 2010. 27 home run season in 2012. Hasn't quite been the same offensive player since then. Constant tinkering, change into the stance and the swing.
He was jamming himself a lot with the way that he would swing and pop the ball up. We saw 2 pop-ups today. But now, at least with the relaxed hands and the ability to get that barrel through the zone, doesn't seem to be the inconsistencies that existed. Look, they won a World Series and he did not contribute offensively. He contributed in a lot of other ways with his legs and his defense, but now if he, to your point, he gets that offense going, makes this team even more difficult.
2 balls, 1 strike on Rizzo. That's one of the things Joe Madden is quick to bring up. Even though they're better than 5 runs per game to lead the National League, that's without everybody clicking at the same time yet. Lately, it's been that guy, Kyle Schwarber, really slumping. There's Chris Bryant coming into the series. Rizzo for the first month. He's come alive. That's a walk for Rizzo. Mike Matheny coming out and going to end the day for Jordan Hicks. Bowman's coming on in a 6-3 game. At 10 a.m. Eastern on your local Fox station with a four-way tie atop the leaderboard going into Sunday. Now, the Cardinals bullpen has been inconsistent at best. And tonight, not much better. Hicks gives up the two-run shot to Hayward. And Matt Bowman, who returned from the disabled list last night, put up a 1-2-3 inning, is on to pitch for the second night in a row. His first one to Wilson Contreras. Come after a throw over.
Yeah, unless there's a late rally, of course, by the Cardinals, it's putting them in a tough position. Falling farther behind the Cubs. They won't lose ground to the Brewers. The Brewers did not win today.
Bounce back to the mound. Bowman throws it off of the glove of Wong, and everybody's safe.
When he gets this ball, watch where he ends up. Okay, he's feeling it. Now when he goes to throw, he's throwing on the downslope the other side, going to the bag. And right there, see how he stepped and lost his front foot going down? That slope was a little deeper than he thought when he fields it. Normally you field this and you throw on the upslope, but right there he thinks he's going to step down, and that step was farther down. It messed the throw up. No matter how many times you practice that in spring training, you don't practice it on the back side of the mound when you field a ball trying to throw it to second.
The 2 on for Schwarber, who takes the ball.
Because typically we get the ball in front of the mound and you're throwing uphill to second base, not downhill.
He didn't have any time to look down and check the geography of it. Second error of the night on the Cardinals. Now Kyle Schwarber hitting a high drive to right center field. He just missed this one as Fowler will settle under it for out number 2. Up to third goes Rizzo. They're at the corners. Well, for more on this Cardinals bullpen, let's go down to Kenny.
Well, they're suffering right now because of 2 losses of free agents they signed in the offseason. Luke Gregerson, one injury after another, had arthroscopic knee surgery on Monday, out 4 to 6 weeks. But the real crusher is Greg Holland. 1 year, $14 million contract right at the start of the season. The front office was kind of mixed on it. They weren't sure they wanted to do it, but the clubhouse definitely wanted another addition. And ownership hadn't spent a lot of money in the offseason, so this was a move to kind of reinforce where they were. They wanted to be a contender. They wanted to show that they were willing to take that next step. Holland is now in the DL as well with a hip impingement, and on his rehab assignment, he's not pitching well. So what they need is one or both of those guys to step up at some point this season. Otherwise, they're going to have to go into the trade market.
Addison Russell. It's a chopper by third and foul. And Kenny, do you see a scenario where, I mean, at this point, this would be a 4th consecutive loss if they can't come from behind, 5 games out? How far do they have to tumble before you're looking at the trade deadline from the other perspective for St. Louis?
That's a great question, Joe. And keep in mind, we're 5.5 weeks away still. There's a long way to go, a lot of baseball to be played. And certainly, if they're not considering themselves to be serious contenders, they have to look the other way.
First and third, 2 out. And a 1-1 pitch. Ball 2.
Well, as much of the game has gone to bullpens, there's still a need for bullpen arms, and it's going to be interesting. All eyes are going to be on Britton and his health in return from Baltimore. I think Herrera from Kansas City is going to draw a lot of attention, depending on a couple teams that go in another direction, whether it's the Mets or whether it's teams that have pieces that you are no longer looking to utilize that year. There's going to be some action this year, and some very good teams are going to try to get much better.
Brad Hand in San Diego.
Yep.
It's a coveted arm. Bowman home 3-1. Russell hits one down the line. Long way to go for Dexter Fowler, and a tight space makes the catch and ends the inning. But a 2-run home run from Jason Hayward, and the Cubs trailed most of this game, but now have a 6-3 lead to the bottom of the 8th. by Toyota. Let's go places. And by McDonald's, new 100% fresh beef quarter pounder burgers, cooked right when ordered. 6-3 Cubs to the bottom of the 8th inning after the 2-run shot from Jason Hayward. The Cubs try to make it 14 out of their last 19 and send the Cardinals to their 4th consecutive defeat. For the 8th inning, it'll be Pedro Strop.
Signature crooked hat. I could never do that. I'm just telling you, I could never do that.
No,
it would bother
you.
me. Oh,
Javi Baez in the game at second, and Ben Zobrist moves out to left. Your little OCD.
no, not so much that. I
Want a crooked hat?
yes.
Yeah. Strike one on Ozuna.
Tags bother me, so maybe it is a little OCD.
I think, yeah.
Now that you mention it.
Spoken like a guy with OCD.
I just rip the tags out, then they don't bother me.
Don't rip too hard. You don't want to put a hole in them.
I've done that many times.
Yeah. Strop to Ozuna with an 0-2, and he got him swinging. Pedro Strop makes quick work of Ozuna for the first out of the 8th. And you know, last season these two teams had identical records against everybody else. They're both 78 and 65. But in the head-to-head matchups, and you were touching on this earlier, the Cubs won 14 to the 19. That was the difference in the division between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Those 9 games.
Strange year last year for the Cubbies. I think at one point they were 33 and 33 or something, 500 team. They were 6 back at the All-Star break to the Brewers. And then you see the end standings. They won by 9.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerko swings and misses 0-2.
I mean, basically the flip was they got Quintana and Milwaukee didn't. They needed help and ran out of gas. This is going to be a different year, though. If Milwaukee's still in a position, they're a much better team. I don't think they will stand pat this year. I think they'll be the first to pull the trigger.
A quick pitch and a drive the other way that sends Hayward back onto the edge of the track to catch it. 2 gone. Best record in the National League the Brewers have. Cubs, though, are 8-3 against Milwaukee.
Yeah, those last 2, they got shut out. They were 8-1.
Right.
Lose 1-0, 2-0. But their bats have come alive, and they've come alive in the city where the rivalry has been the best in the Central, one of the best in baseball. The Cubs have had the upper hand the last 2 years, trying to make it 3 in a row.
Dexter Fowler takes ball 1, and at this point, if this score were to hold, it'd be 4-3 Cardinals in the season series between the teams.
They got a 5-game series coming up in Chicago. Snow out, whatever it was. 5-gamer.
How's that happen? Is it one of their many postponements from earlier?
Yeah.
Inside 2-1.
Right after the break, I believe it's a 4-game series that turned into a 5-gamer, and then a series in between. I think they come right back here, so won't see each other till after the break, and then that'll be an important first 11-game stretch for both teams.
Fowler by the bag foul. Remember, Dexter Fowler in the 6th inning would have been the go-ahead run on second base, would have been first and second, nobody out. When Fowler ran into an out, Cardinals wound up not scoring, and since then the Cubs have scored 3 straight to take this lead. Full count. Guys that have kind of traded places. Fowler going from the Cubs to the Cardinals. He's kind of the GOAT tonight in a way for the Cardinals. And then there's Hayward, who's gone from the Cardinals to the Cubs. It's a 2-run home run. He's giving the Cubs the insurance. become easy to forget that Dexter Fowler actually had a pretty darn good year in his first year in St. Louis. Had a career high 18 home runs, put up the best slugging of his career. Now in the second year of that 5-year, $82 million deal. What have you done for me lately? Not a popular guy around these parts. Pedro Strop with a 1-2-3-8. On to the ninth on Baseball Night in America. And Happ swings at the first pitch of the ninth. Rounds out at a bounce to wall. Second inning of work from Matt Bowman, trying to keep it right here at 6-3. Cardinals have the bottom third of the order due up in the bottom of the ninth. What a cool thing. Good luck getting that smile off his face anytime soon.
Yep.
Javier Baez first at bat tonight. Strike one. 2 walks last night. 2 unintentional walks.
Yeah, you got to go looking for wallets in the mall, right? After that. I mean, that rarely happens.
First time in 4 years for him. Joe Madden said on the first one he asked for the ball. With that as a souvenir. The second one he didn't bother because he figured it was already headed to Cooperstown. Two quick outs here in the ninth. He's looking for the walk. Zobrist set the tone tonight, reaching each of his first 3 times up there. A couple of singles and a walk. And he scored 2 of the 6 Cubs runs.
He's one of those players that I don't want to say 10, 15 years ago every team had, but they had a player similar to him where Played the game right. Very versatile. Veteran guy. Had won. You don't see that very often in today's style of baseball. It's pretty young with less veterans and less guys that kind of pave the way for the rest of the guys.
For Zobrist, he didn't become an everyday player until he was 28. First 9 years in Tampa Bay. There's Brandon Morrow getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. 9 years in Tampa Bay, then split 2015, Oakland and Kansas City, winning a world championship there. Doing the same in Chicago. Go ahead RBI double in the 10th inning to that World Series Game 7. Shoots one back to Bowman, who's got a 1-2-3 ninth inning on 8 pitches. Cardinals need a bunch, down 6-3. In comes Morrow.
Pitch. Now the closer for the Cubs. Cards are hoping to get tomorrow, not tomorrow, but tomorrow.
I'm with you.
With some at least base runners to make it interesting, but he has been pretty good.
First time he's pitched in 9 days. He's dealing with some fatigue, and Joe Madden playing on that rest theme. Giving it some time. A couple defensive changes. Albert Almora is in center. Happ moves to left. Bottom third of the Cardinals order. Jairo Munoz to lead it off. And he takes ball 1. Munoz, 2 hits tonight. And Wong, then the pitcher's spot. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Easy going, an easy delivery, but tremendous spin on what appears to be a cutter, or a ball that cuts, because of the way that he throws the fastball. It just jumps on the hitter. So yes, it's 97, but to the hitter it looks so much more because of the spin. And that's the difference, I think, sometimes with like Hicks and Morrow. It's the way they throw their baseballs. Hicks is going to throw a 2-seamer that has lateral movement, late lateral movement. This is going to be more of a cutter.
harder to control Hicks version?
Yeah, I'm interested. And that's why I asked the question, you know, even to Mike Matheny, why not some more four-seamers? And, you know, he's had success, so you don't want to alter that success and confidence. It's not like they're lighting up and barreling a bunch of balls, but they're just putting more balls in play than what most people would think from 104 miles an hour. And we saw what Zobrist did. He put it in play, got an infield hit. It was ruled an error.
98 gets away from Morrow there. The count goes full on Munoz.
And that's why I have a problem with certain analytics that just compute out of a computer and don't actually understand the ball that comes out of a hand is different. It has a heavy sinker or late life. You hear late life, that's backspin. I know we can quantify just about everything, but motion, deception, still things that matter come into play, and why certain hitters can't pick up the ball off certain pitchers.
Munoz starts the ninth with a base hit to center. Turning around a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. His third hit of the night.
And when you're facing a guy like Morrow, if you have an overswing and you swing up like Wong we've seen tonight, it's to his advantage. But if you stay compact up the middle, shoot it the other way, take the pitch that's coming in, you can get rewarded. But you need base runners before you can have everyone swinging for the fences.
So here is Wong, who takes a strike on the outside corner. He's 0 for 3 tonight. The average down to 184. He can reach. Greg Garcia would come up representing the tying run.
Cardinals have been known for some late magic this year.
We got 7 walk-off wins. That leads baseball. Long behind 1-2. Brandon Morrow's given up a total of 4 runs this year. 2 against the Phillies on June 6th. 2 against the Cardinals on May 5th. Wong yanks one. That's through for a base hit. Back-to-back singles to open the ninth, getting the tying run to the plate for St. Louis.
Well, first part of the mission accomplished. You got to get a couple guys on before you can bring in that tying run, and now that tying run is at the plate, but you want to keep the line moving.
And Greg Garcia comes up. Limited playing time this year. Does have 2 home runs. 28 years old in his 5th year with Major League time. Takes a tailing fastball for a strike. One and one. Just in case, Justin Wilson has started to warm for the Cubs. Top of the order after this. A 1-1. 2 balls and a strike. Perhaps some rust from Morrow, who hasn't pitched in 9 days.
Yeah, no doubt. You would expect that a little bit. 9 days is a long time, and certainly part of that is the rest you were talking about. But you never want to get out of sync when you're feeling really good. So you want to get out there every. I felt my previous time, I wanted every 3 days if possible. I didn't want to go long periods without getting out there. But you can never predict in baseball as a closer when those games are going to happen or the drought.
3 balls and a strike on Garcia. And Morrow had said to Joe Madden that he was dealing with some fatigue, and it's kind of mutually agreed upon that he needed a couple days. Then once he was ready, they found themselves behind in Milwaukee. Huge lead last night. Didn't bother using him. Before you know it, it's been more than a week. Tying run up there. Nobody out, ninth inning. 3-1. Strike two.
You know, that's the first place the umpire was going to look, to his right, because he was going to hear it from the dugout. I've seen a few of those calls tonight. Top of the strike zone. Well, that puts pressure on Garcia if Morrow throws another one close to that area.
The payoff. A dribbler. Morrow fields it and throws Garcia out for the first out of the inning. Munoz to third. Long to second. Carpenter to the plate. Oh for 4 tonight. But has been one of the hottest hitters for the Cardinals over the last month.
Their homer last night and getting more balls up in the air. Fly ball rate has increased, so is his average. And I would think now would be one of those scenarios where he's looking for one to drive, no doubt. Either gap it or over the wall.
The three-time All-Star, Matt Carpenter, swings at the first pitch and sends a lazy pop-up down the line. Bryant's out. Over the shoulder. Can't catch it, but a foul ball. It's a foul ball, and strike one on Carpenter.
Close, but it did look like it was foul. This got his back to the umpire, and that ball was tailing back. I don't know that that's something you can change, but.
And of course, fans are seeing the video of the ball falling inside the line, but it hits Bryant well outside it.
It's a tough call if they're going to look at it and anticipate where that ball was coming down in the angle. I don't know if you're going to get a good enough view. See right here, that view's not going to tell us anything. The ball definitely was almost coming back towards the field as he had his back to the umpire. See right here, this ball right here. It's too hard to tell. I don't think there's any way they can make an adjustment. You'd have to have a camera down the third base line. The umpires are always given the opportunity to place runners based on where they think they would be if there is a scenario where they can overturn something. A trap ball in the outfield when the runners can't move. No man's land.
What would you think this would warrant?
It's a foul ball.
Yeah.
It's a foul ball. There's just no way to tell.
There you go. It's a foul ball, and it's 0-1. On Carpenter. Two singles and a ground out in this inning for the Cardinals against Morrow.
Stranger things have happened. Scherzer just lost 2 in a row. Never thought that was going to happen.
Oh, that's crazy. Tying run at the plate in the ninth. 0-1. Carpenter fouls another, and it's 0-2. .25 home runs a year for him over the last few seasons. Home run last night was his 9th. but in a tough spot now. Morrow's 0-2. Struck him out with a high fastball. And the Cardinals are down to their final out.
More convenient for Morrow to throw the ball up the way he delivers it. See that? That's an old-time stance. He's back in the 40s and 30s.
Explodes in there in high 90s. Get his first strikeout of the night. Contreras coming out to talk to him before Tommy Pham bats.
What are we down to? 2, 1. Visits. Down to 2.
It's always a game to try and find it on the scoreboard at each park. Yeah, down to 2. You're right. Pham, who brings in 10 home runs, including one last night. Representing the tying run with the Cardinals down to their final out. Takes ball 1. One and one. Such a good start to this season for Pham. He cooled off over the last month or so. Cardinals were off on Thursday. Pham was in the ballpark, in the cage, working on his swing, trying to iron it out. Now with a game on the line in the 9th. Takes ball 2. Yadier Molina would bat if he could reach. Top of the zone, strike 2.
That's where he's tough, and he's been able to get some swings, and every hitter thinks they can get on top of it. Really can't. "45 minutes ago, you couldn't see a lot of those blue shirts, by the way.
No.
Sea of red covered it up.
Thinned out a little bit. The Cubs scoring 3 late. They'll take their first lead of the night until the 7th on Happ's double. Extended it in the 2-run home run from Hayward, which looms large right now. Morrow home to Pham with a 2-2 pitch. Just misses up, full count.
Tried the breaking ball, tried to drop it in that top part, just a bit up. Boy, Contreras, it doesn't matter where the pitch is. He's trying to make it look like a strike.
Now a 3-2. He struck him out with a fastball at 99. And despite some rust, Morrow able to pick up the save, and the Cubs have taken the first 2 games from the Cardinals.
Last 2 games of this Milwaukee, they got shut out. These 2 games, they're doing just enough. In tonight's game, they exploded yesterday with 13. Morrow shakes off the dust.
Cardinals have dropped a season high 4 in a row. It's at 5 back of the Brewers, while the Cubs now 14-5 in their last 19 games, climbed to within a half game of the Brewers. For John Smoltz and Ken Rosenthal, Joe Davis wishing you a good night from St. Louis, where the Cubs win at 6-3. On the other side of this break, Chris Myers and Dontrell Willis from the studio in Los Angeles.